What's up, Fantasy Football Universe? It is SC Romero, the Devy Mastermind of the FFU, here to bring another Devy Diamond. And today we're talking about one of my favorite tight end prospects to come, and that is going to be SMU tight end RJ Maryland. All about him right after the intro. FFU, the Devy Mastermind is back. Myself, SC Romero of the Fantasy Football Universe, here to bring you another Devy Diamond. And before we begin, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you want to hear about when it comes to these Devy prospects, so that way we can bring it to your attention. But go ahead and subscribe so you know every time we're going live, Monday through Friday. We have live shows just about every day of the week. But let's get right into it. And that's going to be today's Devy Diamond, RJ Maryland, tight end out of SMU. Now, he's personally one of my favorite tight ends. He's a very athletic, arguably one of the more athletic tight ends in this class of 2025 where he's eligible. And also just a very nice with the athleticism, he's a field stretcher. He's a vertical threat that knows how to get downfield and open up the passing game even further. That's what I love about him. But that's a little bit of his strength. So let's get into his history a little bit. RJ Maryland was a four-star prospect out of South Lake Carroll High School, powerhouse in Texas, out of South Lake, Texas. His dad actually was the first overall pick in the 1991 NFL Draft, Russell Maryland. So that's pretty interesting to know. He had 24 offers before having his first official visit to Boston College. He actually ended up committing to Boston College, but after his first official visit, SMU actually then sent in an offer. And then a week later, he ended up saying, you know what, I'm actually going to decommit from Boston College. And then a few days later, he actually committed to SMU. And now here we are, we're at SMU. So now during his freshman season, Maryland actually had 39 targets, so he got, some involvement there, and a 71.8% completion percentage when targeted. So his hands were definitely reliable, catching 28 of those 39 targets. He's a field stretcher, but he's only averaging about 10.6 yards per catch during that first season, but he did have 6 receiving touchdowns. He has some good size to him as well. As a sophomore, he definitely elevated. We saw a rise in his targets there as well. His reception rate kind of took a dip. It went down to 59.6% completion when targeted. So that was it. But on the flip side, his yards per reception actually went up to 15.2. So even though his reception rate took a dip, he actually made more with less. He actually, out of 6 more receptions than he had his freshman season, he had an extra 222 yards that sophomore season. So definitely making more out of less was a benefit. He definitely elevated the passing game a little bit more there as well. And he also caught 1 extra touchdown. So during the sophomore season, he had 7 touchdowns compared to 6 his freshman season. The downside is he did have 5 drops that season. So that concentration kind of got a little bit best of him, and he needed to do a little bit more of that. Right now, he is on pace to have career highs across the board of 41 receptions and 604 yards. Again, when it comes to these tight ends, that's good, because college tight ends, you don't really see them involved that much in the passing game. You do see a lot here and there, but not as much as you do in NFL teams, right? So you don't really look at that. You kind of see what they're doing outside of just catching the ball here, because sometimes you're not getting the same looks. However, he is currently leading the team right now with 304 yards, when it comes to receiving. And on top of that, he's leading the team with 22 receptions, with the next closest on the team having 14 receptions. So he is the team leader, and he is someone that is very active in the passing game for SMU. So that's great to see. Again, he is a vertical threat, which leads me into his strengths. His athleticism is top notch. To me, he's one of the most athletic tight ends in college football today. You can argue some other tight ends. I know, like Harold Fan is really athletic as well. But RJ Maryland, very athletic, man. He has the good size, and the speed and agility for his size is phenomenal. Definitely just a great athlete in that sense. A vertical threat, as I mentioned. He's a field stretcher. He does need to improve his route running or his route tree, because majority of the time he's just going down the seam route, right? Just stretching the field, getting open in the middle, and opening it underneath for the other receivers there to make plays underneath him. But he's the one that's going to go down the field and beat his safeties or his linebackers, because he has that speed there as well. Catch radius, phenomenal. Quarterback just needs to really throw it in his direction, and he has a smooth catch radius all around, to just make sure he's bringing it in. And the blocking ability downfield, he's a solid run blocker down the field, which I think can help him at the next level, seeing the field a little bit more, because he does line up in the slot a lot, which is really interesting. That's majority of his snaps actually is lining up in the slot. His work ethic to me is superb. He's someone that you talk about. He's always one of those first ones at practice. He's one of the ones that wants to be the best on the field, and he's not, taking no for an answer when it comes to, hey, you need to bring it back, right? A little bit like that. He's someone that's going to constantly put in the work and make sure he's doing everything he can to help elevate his team as well. But on top of that, with his work ethic, he still does have some areas of improvement, right? He's someone that, again, needs to diversify his route tree. For the most part, a lot of his routes are, again, just that seam route, just that vertical threat. But if he can increase his cuts, because he has the agility to make the right moves, but if he can finesse his cuts, to do more slants or more end around post routes, things like that, that can definitely elevate him a lot more and, get him more opportunities on the field as well, especially when he's playing in that slot position. If he can get creative with his route tree, then the sky's the limit for him. Release from the line, sometimes when he's playing against the more physical safeties or linebackers that are trying to press him at the line, it kind of disrupts him a little bit. He needs to get better about that, to just use his physicality to get away from them and to make the plays right at the line when he's getting against that press coverage. Physicality after the catch, he's not really one to get win the contested catches. Right now he does have majority of the contested catches caught right now, but that's something that's been an area of improvement for him as years come. He's getting better, but that's still something he needs to work on, especially at the next level with his size around 6'3", 6'4", about 230, 235. He needs to increase that even more, right? He's a little bit smaller frame when it comes to the tight end, so he needs to elevate that physicality a little bit more, especially if he plans to be a factor at the next level as well. And pass protection. He's someone that he does line up inside, but you see him a lot more in the slot, so that pass protection needs to come better. Just his techniques when it comes to it, again, that's a worry for me at that next level, because when it comes to tight ends, you want the guys that are also great in pass blocking, because that allows them to see the field a lot more. And because he's more of your slottish tight end, that's where I kind of worry about what he can do at that next level, or how much playing time he's going to get at the next level. I think he's a great athlete, but if he can't get that as a tight end position, that can hurt him in seeing some playing time or getting on the field for a majority of the time. He might just be the third down stretch guy just to get open and get that in. Which leads me into his team, where I think he could be. Right now, he is eligible to enter the 2025 draft. He might end up staying in another year, but I think he's a day 3 prospect. He has to blow it out the water to, be one of those top tight ends there in the day 2 or even first round. You see some of them, but that's not him. He's a day 2 prospect, or day 3, excuse me. And I believe a good landing spot for him would be the Miami Dolphins. Why? All right, look, right now, Jonnu Smith is lining up the most in the slot. 59% of his snaps are coming in the slot. Right now, he is leading the way for the Dolphins, lining up in the slot. What did I just say about RJ Maryland? That's where he makes his bread and butter, is right in the slot. So ideally, he's going to slide right into Jonnu Smith's role, take over Jonnu Smith's role, because I believe he is a more athletic tight end. Maybe Jonnu Smith has the more experience, so he sees the field a lot more. But he's a more athletic tight end than Jonnu to actually stretch the field even further, and it's going to allow Tyreek Hill or even Jalen Waddle to eat up underneath, or even the running backs. As I brought up the running game, that's huge in Miami, right? And the fact that RJ Maryland can block down the field in the running lanes and open them up even further, that's going to do well for your Raheem Mostert, your Jalen Wrights, or even your Devin Chains as well. So I really love that fit for him. I think he could benefit heavily going to a place like Miami and just slide right into what Jonnu Smith is doing there. And again, he has the hands to actually be a nice receiving threat. Now, will he see the field a lot because of his pass blocking abilities? I don't know. But if they're using him like they're using Jonnu Smith right now, I think that's going to be a phenomenal fit for him, and that's going to be something that's going to eat for our fantasy teams in the future. Now, right now, his fantasy impact is something of it really sees on how he plays in the field, because I think he's a great receiving tight end, but he needs to get on the field more, right? And that needs to be involved in him just being a pass blocking tight end as well at the next level. That is in college, he's great. I think he's getting you some yards here and there, so that's good for him. He's not really one of your upper echelon tight ends, but again, in college, which ones really are your Brock Bowers, right? So that's gonna be something where he's good. He'll get you some points there. And at the next level, he's going to be a solid receiving tight end that he's going to get you some big points. He's going to be one of those boomer bust candidates because when he booms, it's going to be boom. But when he busts, it's going to hurt you a lot more as well. But I do think he can get you some nice fantasy value, possibly hit into that tight end 2 type of range and have your games where he ends up being the tight end 1 overall because of that field stretching ability and him just gaining yards off a few catches and then a possible touchdown. So that's what I do love about him. I'm targeting him in the drafts when it comes, possibly a round 3 type of pick there for him. But I really love his athletic ability. I really love what RJ Maryland brings as an athlete. I think he can definitely elevate and become one of the better ones down the line. Not year 1 possibly, but down the line, I think he's a tight end that we're going to be talking about at that NFL level for years to come as well. That is all I have for you today in today's Devy Diamond for SMU tight end RJ Maryland. Keep him on your radars. I think he's a great asset to understand who he is and to watch out for because he's going to be someone that you can target at the tight end position. But until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on all these videos. We're dropping them every Friday. Plus, we have live videos going on every day of the week. So subscribe today to be in the now of what's happening in the fantasy football universe. I am the Devy Mastermind at the PPR, so on X, SC Romero. Until next time, peace.